Anna and Miguel had been dating for over a year, and tonight was their movie night. After scrolling through countless options on their streaming service, they finally settled on a film titled Neo e uma Coincidencia. It was a romantic movie, dubbed in Portuguese, with an intriguing premise about two lovers whose lives seemed inexplicably linked by fate. They made popcorn, dimmed the lights, and settled on the couch, ready for a cozy night in. The film started innocuously enough, with the main characters, Clara and João, meeting by chance at a cafe. The chemistry between the actors was palpable, and Anna and Miguel soon found themselves engrossed in the story. But as the movie progressed, Anna began to notice something unsettling. The dialogue, the settings, even the clothes worn by the characters, all bore an uncanny resemblance to her and Miguel's own lives. "Isn't this weird?" Anna whispered, her voice tinged with unease. "What do you mean?" Miguel asked, his eyes still fixed on the screen. "Look at them. Clara is wearing the exact same dress I wore on our first date. And that cafe, it looks just like the one we met at." Miguel glanced at her, a frown forming on his face. "It's just a coincidence, Anna. Movies are bound to have similar settings." Anna nodded, trying to shake off the creeping feeling of dread, but as the film continued, the parallels became impossible to ignore. The characters' conversations mirrored their own, and the scenes that played out on screen seemed to foreshadow events that had happened in their relationship. By the time they reached the midway point of the film, Anna was visibly shaken. In the movie, Clara and João had moved in together, just like Anna and Miguel had a few months ago. And now, in a scene that sent chills down her spine, Clara was receiving threatening letters from an unknown sender. Anna's phone buzzed, pulling her out of the film's grip. She glanced at the screen and froze. It was a message from an unknown number containing only a single line. "It's not a coincidence." Her breath caught in her throat as she showed the message to Miguel. This isn't happening," she stammered. Miguel's face drained of color as he read the message. "It's just someone messing with us," he said, though his voice was laced with uncertainty. "Maybe a prank." But deep down, they both knew this was no prank. The timing was too perfect, too precise to be mere coincidence. They continued watching, but now every moment was charged with tension. The film had taken a darker turn, with Clara and João spiraling into paranoia as they were haunted by the letters. Their relationship began to unravel as the unknown tormentor closed in on them, pushing them to the brink of madness. As Anna and Miguel watched, they began to feel as if they were being watched too. The room seemed to grow colder, and the shadows cast by the flickering screen seemed to stretch and twist unnaturally. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the wind outside, made them jump. "Maybe we should turn it off," Anna suggested, her voice trembling. Miguel hesitated, then nodded. He grabbed the remote and pressed the power button, but nothing happened. The screen stayed on, the movie continuing as if mocking their attempts to escape it. Miguel tried again, but the remote was unresponsive. He stood up, reaching for the TV itself, but as he approached, the film's audio suddenly cut out, replaced by a distorted voice that seemed to echo from within the walls. "Neo e uma coincidencia." The voice rasped, growing louder and more menacing with each repetition. "Não é uma coincidência." Miguel stumbled back, his heart pounding. What the hell is going on? Anna clutched his arm, her eyes wide with terror. "I don't know, but we need to leave. Now." They rushed to the door, but when Miguel turned the handle, it wouldn't budge. They were trapped. Panic set in as they tried to open the windows, but they were sealed shut. The voice continued to chant, its words drilling into their minds, driving them to the edge of sanity. Desperation took hold of them. Anna grabbed her phone, frantically trying to call for help, but the screen was black, the battery inexplicably drained. Miguel searched for anything they could use to break the windows, but every object seemed to dissolve in his hands as if they were made of mist. The film on the TV played on, showing Clara and João in their final moments. The unknown tormentor had finally revealed themselves, a shadowy figure with no discernible features, only glowing red eyes. The figure whispered into Clara's ear, and she began to scream, her face contorted in terror. Ana and Miguel watched in horror as Clara's scream seemed to reach through the screen, echoing in their living room. The walls around them started to close in, the ceiling pressing down as if the entire room was collapsing in on them. The chanting grew louder, the voice now joined by others, a cacophony of madness that drowned out all other sound. Ana and Miguel held each other tightly, their hearts pounding in sync with the beating of the walls. And then, as suddenly as it had started, the noise stopped. The room was deathly silent. The TV screen was blank, the house still. For a moment, they thought it was over, that they had somehow survived. But when they looked around, they realized they were no longer in their home. They were in the movie. The shadowy figure stood before them, its red eyes glowing with malice. Não é uma coincidência. Ich whispered, ich's voice na uma estabili real. You are mine. Ana screamed as the figure reached out, its cold, clammy hands closing around her throat. Miguel tried to fight it off, but he was powerless, his movements sluggish and weak as if he were underwater. The last thing Ana saw was the shadowy figure pulling her into the darkness, its eyes burning into her soul. And then, there was nothing. The film ended, the credits rolling over a black screen. In the empty living room, the TV flickered off on its own, leaving only the faint sound of the wind outside and the distant echo of a scream.